Yes, I am.
Excuse me. Yeah.
We stand to pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Clausen.
Here.
Mr. Cox.
Here.
Mr. Graven. Here. Commissioner Phipps.
Here.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. Consent agenda. Items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. No separate discussion of these items will occur unless a council member requests the item to be removed from the consent agenda. If an item is removed from the consent agenda, it will be considered elsewhere on the agenda for this meeting. Prior to asking for a motion to approve the consent agenda, the mayor will ask if anyone desires to remove an item from the consent agenda for public discussion. Would anybody like to do that? Hearing none, I move that the minutes of the regular meeting of September the 19th, 2023, and the bills and payroll for the last half of September 2023 are approved. Can I have a second on that motion?
Second.
And roll call.
Mr. Clausen.
Yes.
Mr. Cox.
Yes.
Mr. Graven.
Yes.
Mr. Phipps.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. Presentations, petitions, and communications. This portion of the city council meeting is reserved for persons who desire to address the council. The Illinois Open Meetings Act mandates that the city council may not take action on comments received on matters that have not been identified on this agenda, but the council may direct staff to address the topic or refer the matter for action on the agenda for another meeting. Persons addressing the council are requested to limit their presentation to 3 minutes and to avoid repetitious comments. We would also ask you to state your name and address for the record, as well as stand when speaking. Would anybody like to address the council at this time? Anybody online that would like to do that? This is John. Okay, so move on to the next item. We have a proclamation to read tonight. It's the proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is the month of October. I'll read this as quickly as I can. Domestic Violence Awareness Month. In the city of Mattoon, in recognition of the important work done by survivors, domestic violence programs, and victim service providers, I urge all citizens to actively participate in the scheduled activities and programs sponsored by HOPE of East Central Illinois and other community organizations to work toward the elimination of intimate partner violence. Whereas in just one day across the United States and its territories, nearly 75,000 victims of domestic violence sought services from domestic violence programs and shelters. That same day, more than 9,000 requests for services, including emergency shelter, housing, transportation, childcare, and legal representation, could not be provided because programs lacked the resource to meet victims' needs. And whereas the impact of domestic violence is wide-ranging, directly affecting individuals and society as a whole in this community throughout the United States and the world. And whereas racism, homophobia, transphobia, ageism, and discrimination based on physical ability, nationality, or other factors help to perpetuate domestic violence and make finding safety even more difficult for some victims. And whereas the need for safe housing continues to be rated as survivors' most urgent need. And whereas the city of Mattoon joins others across Illinois and the nation in supporting victims of domestic violence, as well as local programs, state coalitions, national organizations, and other agencies nationwide who are committed to increasing public awareness of domestic violence and sending a clear message to abusers that domestic violence is not tolerated in the city of Mattoon. And whereas domestic violence impacts millions of people each year, but it can be prevented. Preventing domestic violence requires the collective voice and power of individuals, families, institutions, churches, and systems, each whose number one thing adds a valuable and powerful component to transforming our communities. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Rick Hall, Mayor of Mattoon, do hereby proclaim October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the city of Mattoon, and call this observance to the attention of our citizens. In recognition thereof, I, Mayor Rick Hall, here have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Mattoon, Coles County, Illinois, to be affixed this third day of October, 2023.
She has to be here.
Excuse me? Does somebody,
She might be here to make that proclamation.
I'm sorry, I do have this proclamation for you. I don't know if you have any comments to make. If you would, tell us who you are and
My name is Rachel Hiker. I'm the community director of community engagement with Hope Police of 401. And I would just like to say thank you for taking the time to make the proclamation. And we're holding a candlelight vigil in Morton Park in Charleston on October 24th, starting at 6 o'clock. So we're going to see.
Very good. Thank you for everything you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you and your agency.
You guys want to run over real quick?
here we do that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good, all you do.
I did add one thing. I don't know if you noticed that, but I'll say because we have a clergy member here. I did add one word in that proclamation, churches was added to the list of groups that support domestic violence, and help those people. So I did add that for the church members.
Sweet.
Okay. Ready to go on? New business. I make the first motion. I move to adopt ordinance number 2023-5470, approving the tax increment redevelopment plan and project for the Remington Road Development Project area. Can I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Commissioner Cox, and any comments we would like to make? Any questions?
No. Okay. I'll just make the comment. These three ordinance or motions that are coming up, this one and the next two, all have to do with the TIF. The first one is just approving the tax increment plan that was developed with PGAV and with some help from John Hanson with IRR, help set that up. And then the second one will be the designation of the Remington Road project area, which defines the actual TIF boundary and the TIF map. And then the third one is actually approving the final tax increment financing itself, the project area, making it official. So
Okay. Any questions at that point? And then if none, we'll vote roll call.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Graven.
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Motion to adopt ordinance number 2023-5471, designating the Remington Road redevelopment project area boundary.
Can I have a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
That was Commissioner Phipps. And then you covered the comments, I think, on that. You have. And would anybody have any questions on that particular one?
See one.
Hearing none, we'll take roll call.
Commissioner Graven.
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2023-5472, adopting tax increment financing TIF for the Remington Road redevelopment project area.
Have a second on that motion.
I'll second it, Mayor.
Mr. Phipps, and any other questions or comments on that?
again, the TIF is basically property taxes, any new development that happens hereafter that gets captured and can be used in this district, has to be used in that district. So John Hanson's online. John, do you have anything you'd like to say on this?
Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it. Mayor, members of the council, this is John Hanson with IRR Corporate and Public Finance. Sorry not to be with you this evening, but look forward to being back in Mattoon sometime soon. The TIF is a component of our phase 2 financing for the sports complex, just one of several components. And so we'll be back over the next weeks and months to address other matters with respect to phase 2, but I don't have any specific comments on the TIF itself unless there are questions for me.
Hearing none. Roll call.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Raven.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. I move to adopt special ordinance number 2023-1874, granting a special use and a variance to the yard setback located at 112 Charleston Avenue to allow for the construction of a parochial secondary school, St. John's Lutheran Church. Petitioner. And a second on that motion.
I'll second.
Commissioner Graven, and any comments about that? What are we doing here?
Again, this is just any schools, churches have to have a special use. The variance to the yard setback, being surrounded by streets on all four sides. There's a 25-foot setback around all four sides. They've asked for a reduction there on the Broadway, Second Street and First Street, I believe, to around, was it 18 feet approximately?
I think that was the smallest amount.
Yeah, the smallest one was about 18 feet. So again, went through the planning commission, no objectors. I think it was unanimous, wasn't it?
Yeah, so as we approved it, it was essentially, completely unanimous. And there was a question about how far that was granted. So the way the agreement was put forward, the petition was put forward is essentially just as presented. So what's presented on the site plans is how it's going to be.
Any other questions, comments? Anybody has? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Raven. Yes. Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
I make a motion to adopt special ordinance 1875, substitute authorizing the mayor to sign an outright grant agreement by and between the city of Mattoon and Pizzarina LTD, Jonathan Arena President, reimbursing up to $23,271.45 from the Midtown TIF revenue over a 2-year period for site and facade improvements to the property and building located at 2100 Broadway Avenue, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
Second to that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Cox, and any comments on this one?
I'd just say some of the site improvements is the parking, the leased area that was the old railroad right of way, filling in potholes, flattening that all out for his drive up, finishing up his drive up area window, door, new awnings on the building, those type of things. A new fence in the back that separates him and the Quackenbush property. So things definitely just to dress up the exterior of the property.
Most definitely.
Did you, in discussions with John Arena, did he have any new dates of expected opening?
No, he did say the hood that they were kind of working on for the pizza oven, and they got it installed, I think he said yesterday maybe. And so, or at least he said it was in, so I don't know if it was installed or they received it yesterday, but they are getting a lot closer. And, you and I had been in the building. It wasn't too far from being ready, the interior wise, so it shouldn't be long.
Okay. All right. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Raven.
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Motion to adopt resolution number 2023-3263, approving the intergovernmental agreement for the mutual release and ongoing cooperation between the city and the Illinois Department of Healthcare and Family Services, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
Can we have a second on that motion?
I'll
Second.
second it, Mayor.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yep.
And any questions? Comments?
Any comment on that, Jeff?
Only if you guys have questions.
Well, I appreciate your work on it, Chief. It's a lot of detail, a lot of paperwork, I know, but it's going to be a beneficial agreement for the city. So,
I hope so.
And I tried to read how that formula works. Can't figure it out either.
I'm not the only. Like I said, welcome to the state of Illinois.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Raven.
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Motion to approve council decision request 2023-2420, waiving the formal bidding requirements and approving the proposal by the Upchurch Group in the amount of $7,050 for the schematic design services of the addition to Fire Station Number 3, and authorizing the mayor to sign the proposal.
Second to that motion,
I'll second.
Commissioner Graven. Any comments, any questions?
Chief Hilgoss and I went out there and met with Upchurch on that, kind of showed them what we thought about possible additions onto Station 3. Running out of room out there really for everything. And again, if we get a bigger fire truck one of these days, we're not gonna have room to stick the fire truck in there. So the next bay will be longer. And then, like I said, they're gonna give us like 3 design proposals and estimate costs, just so we can finish up plans and figure out what we want to do and how we want to proceed in the future.
Yeah. So at this point, we're just looking at getting something that we can actually get some estimates on and value of it and those kind of things. Yeah, this isn't any final approval at this point.
No, not at this point.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Graven.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. I move to approve council decision request 2023-2421, approving the bid specifications for the Mattoon Police Department cooling tower and authorizing the solicitation of bids. Can I have a second on that motion?
Oh, I'll second.
Commissioner Graven, and any comments on this one?
This cooling tower has been there since we took over the PD building in 99, 2000. It's kind of like the Amtrak station too. Both cooling towers are very old, getting to the point where you can't get parts for them. This one's been really eating up the police department's budget the last couple of years, so we went ahead and budgeted this year for a full replacement. And we did a little bit of repairs that they thought would get us through this summer, which it has so far, thank goodness. And so yeah, it's time to get that replaced.
Okay. Any questions? Else? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Graven.
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. Next is department reports, and we start with City Administrator Kyle Gill.
Been working on several different things, reviewing some of the House bills that were passed on the solar and wind farms and stuff out in the county. Been reviewing those just to make sure that it doesn't call out the cities on anything, any changes in the cities, which it doesn't, that I've seen. Been working on some job description updates, getting ready for the ICSE, which is the International Council of Shopping Centers, next week. The mayor and Alex and I are going up to Chicago to an expo, showing properties that are available in Mattoon for sale, and trying to talk with developers on, see if we can bring more economic development to the city. The Rural King will be up there, of course, promoting their properties as well, and Emerald Acres. So we've got a good amount of people going up there, and hopefully we'll bring back some more opportunities and developments. That's all I really have, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Any questions? City Attorney Dan Jones.
I don't have much this time. Business as usual. Happy to answer questions about anything.
All right.
Stand on the old, Armstrong Center or whatever that building there at 14th and,
They keep coming, we keep having them come back to court every month in city court to update. And so, when is city court? It's not next Monday, it's the week after. But last time they were in court, they had taken out several of the I-beams and support. They were making slow progress. I've not looked at it.
Not been by it in the last week and a half, but they were taking out big timbers, the big joists, floor joists and stuff, and piling them in back and stacking them neatly in back to get them ready to for sale or to be hauled off on pallets and stuff like that. So
slowly but
slow, but
Very slow.
very slow, but they continue to work on it. So my biggest fear though is winter coming, and we want to try to push to get them to get that down.
Any other questions? Next is city clerk.
Just
Susan
been
O'Brien.
working on questions from the auditors and insurance, otherwise business as usual.
Any questions for Susan? Next is finance, Beth Wright.
The major sources of revenue spreadsheet that I've passed around. Through the end of September. Difference between this year and last. 1,723,620, which is primarily due to the fact that last year we received property tax installment within September. And so watching bank, I don't see when that comes in the first part of October. Will be the third installment of taxes. Aside from that, we're behind by $11,650. Unrestricted cash in general fund tonight is $11,393,000. Whereas on the 18th of September, it was $11,595,000. So that's holding steady. I have reported the unclaimed property for 2023. That report was due November 1st. Remitted just under $500 to the state. Basically, it's refund checks from meter deposits that people don't cash. And I think we're doing a better job of getting and forwarding the address and getting those checks to those people. Sometimes you can't force them to cash now. So that's been done. An MFT audit, I received notification last week of the audit for 2022. So some requested information, questions. I started the 2023 tax levy, and yesterday I received a draft of the municipal compliance report for the police pension fund. Not received anything yet for the fire pension, that's still in the works. But both the statutory minimum and recommended contributions are about $150,000 more than they were a year ago. So I still just barely getting started on the levy. My hope is that we can maintain the recommended contribution at the very least. I'll probably know more at the next meeting. And then I've been working with the auditors quite a bit this lately. And that's all I have to report.
Beth, any idea on the use tax, why September is significantly down from the last fiscal year? Like 21,000?
Yeah, it is just a significant drop. I do not have.
I'm just curious. Because all the other months were either at least the same or higher, so that one just kind of stood out.
I might get into checking that.
That could be because all your flow-through entities that pay those use tax were due September 15th, so it could just be a timing, the fact.
Just hadn't been collected.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they probably have good accountants too that learn how to wipe that use tax out.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Beth? Public Works, Dean Barber.
Martell's Construction finished the sidewalk project on Lafayette today. There is a little bit of asphalt work to do at the intersections with Crestview Drive and Road, and they are scheduled to do that this week. Nico Asphalt is scheduled to start work on the bike trail repairs. The damage from their transmission lines for this week as well. So,
Are we replacing an alley there behind McHugh's?
they
Something?
are. And
They are?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's under cost sharing, so we're paying for the concrete and they're supplying labor.
Okay, I just happened to go through Arby's and noticed that there to the corner was.
We've had quite a few people, so we obviously have a sidewalk participation program anyone is welcome to receive if they pay for the labor, equipment, pay for the concrete. And quite a few people have been taking advantage of that commercial alley repairs over the last few years, and
I don't know if that was us or them, so, thank you.
Any other questions for Dean? Next is Fire Chief Jeff Hilligoss. He's had a busy week.
Yes, sir. Since our last meeting, the guys have answered 140 calls for service. Inspectors have done 4 inspections. They spent quite a bit of time out at Best Western, which would be several more inspections, but we lump them into, since it's one location. They got them to finally got their alarm service in, and all their alarms that were causing issues have been fixed. So hopefully they can maintain that, and that will cut down on the alarms out there. Two calls of significance out of those 140. Sunday, the 24th, we had a structure fire at 1200 North 16th Street. And then Friday, on the 29th, just last Friday, myself and 2 other members of the hazmat team, along with Charleston, went down to T-Town to assist them with that. And that was a very long night into, I left at 6, somewhere around 6 that morning. We left here at around 10 p.m. I got back at around 6 because I had an entry-level exam that morning, and I do not do well with no sleep, just saying. So, but I would encourage to keep those folks down there in T-Town in your thoughts. Their initial response, even if it would have happened here, we would have been completely overwhelmed. But was some of the stuff that they had to see and choices that they had to make were pretty tough. So just continue to keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Training wise, our guys did technical rescue training. They did a confined space drill, ARF training, and then we covered 2 flights for football team, Eastern going out, and then one of the football team came here to play. So we stood by at the airport to cover those. And I think that is it, unless anybody has any questions. Thank you for the 2 motions. Last week I worked about 3 days to get that cost report done that will hopefully assist with recouping monies from Medicaid. So that's all I've got, unless anybody has any questions.
Chief, can you give us a, just because we haven't really talked about it too much for quite a while, give us a little, just a brief little description of our hazmat team and
Okay.
what that entails. And
Our hazmat team is consisted with our MAVIS division, which is MAVIS Division 26. We have a hazmat and a technical rescue team. And it's made up of our division's members, departments, which includes Paris, Sullivan, Charleston, us, some of the volunteer agencies, but primarily the amount of training that especially hazmat requires, it's us in Charleston that make up, the hazmat portion of the team. MAVIS, works when a request for a hazmat team is made, 10 individuals make up the team. So I got the call while I was actually at the Clash at the football game that we were going to be going down there. So I start seeing who we can put together. Charleston does the same, and within, I think I got the call at 9:30, or about 9:20. And by 10, we were on the road headed to T-Town, and we're there by 10:30. At 11:15, we were putting a patch on the tanker. So we try to coordinate the same training so if we're doing PPE a month in training and hazmat, that is what Charleston's doing. So we try to coordinate all our trainings together, so we use the same curriculum and stuff like that, so. Did that answer your?
It did. It's there's a lot to it.
There
And
is a lot.
it's one of those things you hope you never have to utilize, but I'm sure glad we have you when the situation arises.
Absolutely.
So appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we have police. Sam Gaines is not here. Ryan Hurst will attempt to stand in for him in his absence. So Ryan, give us an update.
Since the last time everybody met, we've responded to 980 calls to service. I don't have a lot to report other than we're still trying to learn and adjust to the Safety Act that went into effect a couple weeks ago. Properties, it looks like we've got 2 or 3 properties scheduled for cleanup in the next few weeks. Fortunately, 2 of those are repeat offenders. Cleaned up in May and like we're going to rain. That's all I have. Any other questions?
Ryan, this first week of no bonds, basically, were you surprised by the people that were still going to jail and not being released, or how do you summarize that time? Was it better than you expected or worse?
I'm not surprised on anything. I'm surprised that it seems like nobody knows what they're doing. We have no guidance. Judicial side is having a hard time. We've got different opinions of the courthouse. It's going to take some time for us to get some opinions from higher courts and stuff like that. So we didn't see a lot the last couple of weeks. It changes. It's just trying to determine what we do, how we act, how we proceed. So
okay,
it'll take a while.
All right. Any questions for Ryan?
Real quick.
Yeah.
So just saw this today and I wasn't aware of any of this. So our police department was recognized here recently for their outstanding service to sexual assault survivors in the 2023 annual anti-sex trafficking conference.
So our local SACUS group held this conference. That's a new hotel conference center. I believe there's about 150 people that attended the summit. Mattoon Police Department was recognized from SACUS out of all the area police departments for their work with six crimes and victims. Obviously, we take all crimes serious, but these mean a lot to us. We're very aggressive when it comes to that and these complaints. We have a great relationship with SACUS. We have a great relationship with other law enforcement agencies, including the FBI. We've worked with them in the past on some things. So, I'm very, very proud of our group and their work on this. So, thanks for bringing it up.
Well done. Thank you.
And there's been some other groups that have actually, appreciated the work that Mattoon has done with the incident that was up in Arcola.
Yeah, so the Attorney General's office, and I believe council is that we worked a organized retail theft.
Right.
Event, and we started the ball on that. We identified suspects. worked with local businesses. Eventually, the Attorney General's office got involved. They assisted, brought some additional resources to the table. And then, of course, their office is now recognizing our combined work on that little organization. So
It's a great group of guys, and it's from the leadership down, because Ryan's gone out and done some stuff in the last week that I've heard about, and he's done a good job of checking in on things, and businesses call and they appreciate it. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Okay, let's see. Next is arts and tourism. Any report?
Briefly, Arts Council Temple Grandin is going to be at Lakeland College on October 12th. The VIP section is almost sold out. So if you're interested in that, you can contact the Arts Council through the tourism office. Educational credits are being offered to teachers at that particular event. Temple Grandin will also then be the following day at Lyft here downtown, working with students. Then the Holiday Artisan Market is going to be at the Cross County Mall. That's coming up and expanded to 2 days. 27 vendors have signed up. Still looking for a few more. They have a maximum of 40, so there's still spaces available. And then, doesn't seem like it, but Lightworks will be here shortly. Preparing for the November 16th walkthrough, and new displays are going to be downtown here in Heritage Park this year. And the Tyler Jones Santa House will return again. So putting some details together for the Santa House. That was very popular last year. And so glad to see that tradition that got started last year is going to continue. And then Mindy and Julia will be at the mall on Thursday for the Chamber Business Expo. Mindy and Julia is going to be manning the city booth at that event, and we encourage everyone to go see everything that we have to offer here in Mattoon with all of our businesses at the Business Expo. Always a fun event. That's all I have.
Any questions? Last but not least, community development. Alex Binichek.
So, I might have mentioned it briefly at the last meeting, but we officially have it now. So we got a $80,000 donation from a kind of dissolving organization in the community that was looking to give away some of their funds. And so, $80,000 towards housing opportunities in our community. We're currently using that to start helping out with our housing survey in the community. So we partnered with Lakeland College, like I mentioned a little bit before. Also, last Thursday, we are officially members of the Central Illinois Land Bank Authority. Drove on out to Danville, and they were literally only one person voted no out of the whole group. So, that's always a good sign. And so from there, that's really going to allow us to, tackle a lot of these junk properties in our community far more expediently than we otherwise would have been able to. We're going to be able to get them into the hands of folks that, otherwise maybe wouldn't have been able to do that. For instance, we have to sell things at 80% of the appraised value in a sealed bid auction. That's not really the case anymore, as long as we run something through the land bank. So that's really exciting that we, potentially get homes in the hands of responsible developers. They've just received $2 million in grant funding. They have an intern grant writer that received $2 million for housing related projects. So we're not specifically eligible for those. However, in the future, because they have such an awesome grant writer out there, I really think that we should be partnering a lot more with the land bank there to use their home rule authority to affect projects in our town. And they also have a professor that's one of the board members of that group over at U of I that has about 70 masters, a mix of master's students and PhD students in public policy that are interested in maybe doing a bit of a practicum on Crown Shoe to see how they might be able to, find a solution for us to some extent to help out with that issue. There, 10 building permits, 1 demolition permit this month. Been getting a lot of calls about that trailer park on 6th Street. Quite a few, but thankfully they're all local calls, which has not been the case this year. Typically it's out-of-state folks. AmeriCorps members out at Lake Paradise do a fantastic job. We're going to be doing a tree ID walk with Illinois Extension. It's a public event open to anyone. So a little bit later this month, I can get you dates if you'd like. Also working with Coles County Regional Planning on updating our TIF and business development district maps. So technically, like when somebody calls in right now, we just have a paper map that we can give them that doesn't have, you know, street names on it or things like that. And so this just kind of brings us into the 21st century where we're going to have this up on a map that's online, that's interactive. So you can literally just type in an address and see if you're in a TIF district or not. And then outside of that, looking at revolving our planned unit development ordinance, which just makes development of housing and commercial development in Mattoon easier. A lot of great things going on. Happy to take any questions.
Alex, I have one. I think last week, if I've got the right term, revitalization grants, City of Charleston got 110,000, Oakland got 90. Do they just allocate so much money into a county? And did we apply for that? And if so, why were we denied?
So you're saying the Strong Communities funding from IDA?
Whatever that was called.
Yeah.
Charleston got 110 and I think Oakland 90.
Yeah, so we worked with Coles County Regional Planning on that grant application, but we did not receive that. I have sent a email out to IDA, basically just asking for a debrief meeting.
Okay.
But yeah, it was pretty on that we didn't get that.
Coles County Regional Planning did the one for Oakland too. I'm not sure if they did. And Charleston's too.
So it's kind of confusing how that sort of shook out, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
On this land bank thing, is that just for like abandoned properties or is that for like cleanup properties too?
So basically, there are some strategies that they've been using that we don't use here that I think could allow us to impact those types of properties quite a bit more. So as I understand it, and, you know, again, I need to do more research on this, but as I understand it, essentially by joining this, we are now able to foreclose on liens to some extent. So you could clean and lien a property and then be able to foreclose on that lien. And I don't really understand that process entirely. It's a new concept to me, but it's something we're learning about. On top of that, this is the land bank that made the Carl development happen. So that facility out there, like they were instrumental in making sure that there were, you know, all those parcels came together. So this isn't just residential. This is also commercial, which is huge.
Any other questions? Let's see, the next section is comments by council. I want to start with Commissioner Cox.
I've spoken quite a bit this evening, Mayor. I have nothing further.
Oh,
Thank you.
all right, thanks.
I will say one more thing. Rachel, thank you very much for being here. I do appreciate you being here and the work you do. That is all for me this evening.
Okay.
I
All
know.
right.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Commissioner Cox? And then next, it would be Commissioner Phipps.
Gosh, a little zigzag.
Yeah, he's.
Yeah,
Change
there's a method to this, but you probably won't figure it out just yet.
I'll figure it out here in a minute.
Going.
Rachel, thanks.
Yes.
Much appreciated. Great work. You two, excellent job all the way around your departments. And especially the people that arrived on the scene out there. So our hearts and prayers are with them and then also your EMS people. That's all I have.
Okay, any questions? And then we go to Commissioner Lawson.
Oh, thank you. Again, thank you, Rachel. Jeff, thank you and the guys for, especially with the tragedy of the father and two small children. It's just, I don't know how you would overcome observing anything like that. Got a call from a resident that lives near Van Lanningham Park, and they were very complimentary. Kurt's had his guys down there, mowed it, cut out a bunch of dead limbs, really got that park looking good. There's also a group at the south end of Lake Paradise with the water level, like the rain being as low as it is. They cleaned it up and they just piled up a bunch of different stuff and Bash and AJ went down and picked that up in the last couple of days. Things like toilets, let me find my list here. Toilets, tires, swimming pool pumps, a bunch of bottles, cans, tub bats that weren't used in September. They were found in Lake Paradise. I worked on that one. Come on, guys. I close with that one.
That's,
Guys, I'm just kidding on that last one.
that's, okay, it'll improve.
It's on video if you want to go back and replay. Sorry.
Sandy,
Gotta
go
have
ahead.
fun.
Make a recovery here.
Sure, I could top that. Congratulations, fire and police. You guys do a wonderful job. Well, actually, all the employees do. The only comment I'd like to make about St. John's is I'm thrilled to death that this is going in and that you guys are expanding. The only thing I ask is that you please monitor the traffic flow. I work across the street from that and it is a nightmare. And I'm afraid that with the extra travel, but I know we discussed at the planning commission and you guys have been monitoring it. So I'm just asking, we keep going out. But other than that, I have nothing else.
Any other questions? Let's see, I guess it leaves me, on the 23rd of September, I was elected to the Illinois Municipal League Board of Directors. And today I received a call from the director of the Legislative Committee, and he asked me to extend my term with the Legislative Committee. We are going, as Kyle said, to the ICSC in Chicago to try to promote additional growth around the sports complex. And also today, we received a call from Jeff Owens, the WEIU TV, asking Kyle and I to speak on camera with Jeff. He said he was willing to pay us what we were worth. And I don't know exactly what that meant, but if you know Jeff, we're not getting paid. So that's really all I've got. Any other questions?
Good job, Mayor.
Okay, all right. So would anybody like to make any final?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
make motion to adjourn.
Okay, second,
Second.
and roll call.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Craven?
No.
Commissioner Phipps?
Yes.
Richard Clausen?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes.
There we go.
Meeting adjourned.